It looks like SNDK and MU cannot be stopped. Actually, I think I'm going to rephrase that to saying memory and storage as a whole cannot be stopped, because there are other storage names like WDC. It's been writing the moving averages for quite a while. And then there's also STX. Again, another memory and data storage stock that is trading near all-time highs and aren't really showing any signs of slowing down, especially when we go ahead and look at SNDK, which is showing the same amount of very bullishness that the entire sector has been showing. And even when we get a little bit of a red day, it very quickly gets bought up very quickly. Whether you're picking this up at a pullback breakout or a key level breakout, the move is likely to continue. Now here is MU, and it's the same story. We get the breakout and then we get a really long trend move. Semiconductors was the hot sector for quite a while, but it seems like that might be beginning to change now that storage is now such a big bottleneck for AI. From what I can tell, if you look at the weekly, it's kind of just shooting straight up. So I really like to harbor on finding entries at key levels on the weekly because of how far and for how long they could go from those levels. And that's whether it's a horizontal level or whether it's support from a rising moving average. Some of the semiconductors that I would like to start to see doing a little bit better is AMD, as it pulls back here and tried to make lower lows, but instead it just made equal lows, which is a good sign. And it could mean that semiconductors might just be getting a late start, because here is Nvidia, and it too is also pulling back here into this level. And looking at the weekly, it looks really good on the weekly, I would say. And even if it continues to base for a little bit longer, I would actually have no problem with that. There is no doubt in my mind that the semiconductor sector will break out with ferocity eventually. So it's really about paying attention to all the leaders until they're ready to go. Here is AAOI. And it too is pulling back, and it's starting to look really good. We do have the uptrend on the left here on the weekly, and we're getting support from the moving averages. It seems like once the moving averages tightens up here on the right side with a proper breakout, this would look great. And let's be honest, it's already beginning to look great as it tightens here with an inside day. Gap ups can completely change the game, because stocks could be under their moving averages, which would be an avoid, as I only want to take trades as they are above the moving averages. But a gap up can change all of that very quickly. So why don't I show you XPEV, because it gapped up above its 50-day and its 20-day and its 21-day moving average, and it continued to move for the rest of the day, closing pretty close to the highs of the day, just a little off the top. And we're also getting support on the weekly, and the weekly support is always a factor that I really want to put a lot of eyes on, because it's just a really powerful way to be in names that will move for multiple days once you find yourself into an entry, or at least that's the case for myself. Take a look at GFI, and on the weekly we can just see a beautiful uptrend, and this is the 21-week EMA just holding tightly and kind of just flowing with the wind here. And then we get this gap up on the weekly chart after a pullback into the moving averages. Not only that, but this gap up also clears all-time highs, meaning it's completely blue skies ahead and you have no resistance to worry about. Those were two of the good gap up plays today, but there are a few more beautiful breakouts or pullback breakouts that have taken off with weekly support that I want to show you. And here is APH as well. It receives a gap up and it's on a weekly key level, which seems to also happen to be a all-time high actually. And I usually go ahead and mark the all-time high level in blue to remind me that we're at blue skies, just letting me know that there's no resistance ahead. Electrical component is a leading sector as well, which again is probably why this stock is trading near all-time highs in the first place and breaking out with an increase in volume on this day as well. So there's definitely a little bit of a pattern here with the weekly support on the weekly and the daily, and combining that multi-time frame analysis, because here is NXT as well, and this is a solar stock. And let's look at the left, because again, a beautiful pullback into the moving averages on the weekly. And although this went sideways for quite a while, we can finally see a nice increase in volume and the breakout from the key level really sharp. And the key level is visible on the weekly as well, which gives us the extra confluence with the breakout. So again, it's kind of the same pattern, and the increase in volume to really give you that boost in confidence. Okay, here is a lab, and this is a semiconductor, of course. And what's great here is we're getting a little bit of a breakout, not too much volume though, but it is increasing. But it's good to see that we have support here on this semiconductor, and it breaks out from this pullback visible on the daily chart. So the next level to watch would be this level here on the daily, and slightly visible on the weekly as well, with the rising moving averages. So that does look good. And of course, a lot of the semiconductor stocks are setting up, so it would be good to be able to get into this sector early as everything begins to spin and sort of make that U-turn in that sector, because this game is all about sector rotation. We are not done with the semiconductors though, because here is ARRY, and it's also pulling back on the daily chart here beautifully into the moving averages, I should say, as they begin to spin around. So this is the beginning of the swing, and that's always what I look for, the beginning of the swing, as it gives you an advantage before it gets to the horizontal key level breakout, and it just allows for a lot of room. And of course, we get an increase in volume, which is beautiful, and that's something that I want to see on every single pullback breakout. And I've got one more, and this is a solar and semi stock, SHLS. And again, looking on the left, we have support on the moving averages. So there are so many of these. There are so many stocks that have support on their weekly during just in one day. So I promise you, if you look for support on the weekly chart, you will have plenty to trade in one day. And it does get rid of a lot of the bad ones out there. I mean, who wouldn't want weekly support on every trade they take? On the right side here on the daily chart, you can see the contraction in volatility and then the breakout with an increase in volume. This one is 15% off of the all-time high level. So let's see what happens. I think there is a lot of room to get there, but a consolidation could be nice, before the breakout. So that's all I have for you today. I will be checking in on what's breaking out tomorrow, and I will be showing up and going through those as well. And believe me, they will be from weekly levels, and the potential for a multi-day breakout will be there, just like this monster of a move in MU. And all of them will be from leading sectors and hot sectors. So subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed the info here today, and I'll see you in the next one.